Joining me to talk more about today's developments and hopefully provide us with some insight into what has been happening behind closed doors with the Senate Republican Conference is the Senate Finance Chairman, Senator John DeFrancisco of Syracuse. Senator, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, it is good to see you because there's a lot of question marks in the air. We're seeing a lot of smoke and not a lot of fire. So there are three things left to do, as far as I can see, that are all holding each other up. Same-sex marriage, rent laws, which expired last night at midnight, and property tax cap. Will there be a deal on one or all three of these things?
I'm sure there'll be a deal on property tax cap and rent regulation. I'm not so sure what's going to happen with same-sex marriage at this point in time, but the other two will work out. Last night was sort of bizarre that the New York City Democrats voted against an extender, which ended rent control as of midnight last night. So I don't know what logic was in their mind at that time, but I'm sure there'll be a deal when the day is done come Monday.
Come Monday. Okay, so you believe that we are indeed staying until at least Monday?
Oh, sure. That's the last day of session. I think what's going to happen between today and tomorrow is to get rid of all the bills that we could get done, and at least by Monday, on the last day of session, we'll have an agreement on rent control and the property tax cap. So there's other bills that are going on. I know it's not of much interest to the media, but there are a lot of good bills being passed. That maybe after session we could talk about too.
I hope so. I mean, we have talked about some bills. For example, yesterday we spoke to Senator Zeldin about the effort to repeal the MTA payroll tax. I mean, I know that there are other things that are going on. They're not nearly as controversial. Also, they're not playing into some of this logjam, although I am hearing that there's horse trading going on here also about SUNY tuition. Is that tuition bill going to go anywhere, you think?
You know, everything's on the table. At the last few days of session, I've been here 19 years, and all of a sudden, even though parties are resistant in various very divergent areas, all of a sudden it comes together. This comes in play and that comes in play. So I think that's definitely alive. I think it's something that the universities need, that SUNY needs, in order to make up for some of the lost funding by the state. And I think the tuition of SUNY schools is very reasonable at this point and could support additional funding to the schools. Yeah,
let's get back to rent regulation for a second, because it seems to be sort of, I don't know if you've ever played the game Jenga. Are you familiar with that game? It seems to be the...
I'm not. I usually work.
Okay, you're not. It's like one of those one pieces that if you pull it out, everything else falls apart, basically. The governor put out a statement today saying it's both the Republicans and the Democrats' fault. He wouldn't point the blame at the Democrats, which you did. You said you thought that their efforts were bizarre last night. And he also said that he might actually keep you guys around as long as there is no deal on the rent laws, which means that you could be spending the weekend in Albany, and Father's Day is Sunday. I wonder what you think about that.
Well, I've been here before on Father's Day, and I've been here before for many weeks in the last couple of years. But I don't see that. I really don't see that happening. You know, the bill that the Senate Democrats are pushing for rent regulation includes a provision that if you have income of $300,000 or less, you would be entitled to a rent control apartment. Now, how does that make any sense when their millionaires tax that was put in over the last couple of years? You're rich if you make more than $200,000 a year. Now you're poor if on rent control you are earning $300,000. You can still have a rent control apartment. So there's ridiculous provisions request on each side, but it'll come together. I know the people in New York City need rent regulation, and the people of upstate New York and the rest of the state and the governors are not going to leave here without a property tax cap. It will come together. As the hour gets later, the negotiations will get more serious and it'll get done. Okay,
so you are pretty optimistic on that. So let's turn then to same-sex marriage. Today we saw Mayor Bloomberg come and speak to your conference. He is, of course, the single largest donor to your conference. He ponied up almost $1 million of his own personal money to help you guys flip the Senate back into your hands, to take back the majority. Do you think that he convinced anyone? So far we haven't seen any more yeses. We've only got 2.
No, I don't think he convinced everyone. I think at this point in time, there are a few people who at least say they're not sure which way they're going to vote, but I think everybody must have made up their mind at this point. But there was a long discussion yesterday, 4 hours, and everyone got up. I think everyone got up and stated their point of view. And some were very candid as to where they're going to stand. I've said repeatedly I'm going to vote no. Others say they're going to vote yes, Alisi and McDonald. Everybody else that was sort of on the fence really just listened and talked, and some people talked about the religious exemptions and what they meant, and they didn't go far enough. So it's very difficult to see where they're going, and we did not make a decision whether the bill is going to come to the floor, but the debate is going on, and hopefully the decision will be made soon, because everyone is interested in it. They deserve an answer, but it truly hasn't been made at this point in time.
Okay, there seem to be two separate situations here. One is, are there enough votes to pass the bill? And the other is, will the bill actually come up for passage? Those are actually two different questions, aren't they?
That's correct.
Yeah, because if there's not enough...
There is clear...
Yeah, go ahead. There's clearly, you were going to say...
No, what I was very clearly that there's a slim minority that wants to vote for the bill, and it's very obvious if you count the heads. So the first issue is going to be, does this bill come to the floor? And I believe that no matter where people stand, everybody seemed to say that they will abide by the conference's decision. Some people that, and so I wish I can give you a straight, clear answer, but I don't have one, and I sat through the meetings. So that's the first issue, whether it's going to come to the floor.
Okay, hold on one sec, Senator.
If
just before we go to the second issue, if you don't mind, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Do you personally believe that the bill should come to the floor?
I think it should come to the floor, and whether or not it will or not, I think this issue should be resolved soon. But I don't know that there's the votes right at this point in time for that to happen, and that decision could change tomorrow. I'm going to go with the majority of the conference, and no one's made a clear decision in the conference, and but I think there's some that believe it should go to the floor. Others are dead set against it going to the floor.
How does that work exactly, Senator? So, for example, you're having these closed-door conferences, right? And you're all sitting around your conference table and talking to one another, and you've known one another for a while. Even the freshmen, you know these guys for a while. Some of you, like yourself, have been together for quite some time. Do you take a voice vote? Is there everybody should raise their hand if they want the bill to go to the floor?
Everybody's talked around the issue because everybody knows that that's the issue that's got to be decided.
Right.
We want to be in a position that everyone has voiced what they have on their mind before they make an ultimate decision on that important issue. And there has not been, and that's the case, there has not been a voice vote or any other kind of vote whether we take this bill to the floor. People want to continue on with the discussions and make up their mind obviously before the end of session, but that decision has not been made yet.
But what's the real concern when you're sitting around that table? Is it really the political implications? Is it really the church, the religious implications? Is it really, that I actually feel uncomfortable? I don't want to be forced into voting it for a personal conviction? I mean, what are people saying overall?
All of the above. There were 32 people in that conference. Some people talked politics, some people talked philosophy, some people talked about exemptions, the religious exemptions. It was all over the place, and I don't think I'm saying anything different than Senator Skelos has said, and that is the conference had not raised, had not taken a vote on it, had not made up their mind, because there's so many different people with different positions, and until we have a consensus, we're not going to come out and prematurely make anything public about it.
Well, but you do know, I just imparting here, is there a consideration of using this as a bargaining chip? In other words, the Republicans will not vote on it because they want the tax cap, and until they get assurances that there will be a tax cap, that they won't be doing this because we know that it's something that the Democrats want so badly.
Not on my behalf. I don't know what's being talked about at the bargaining table, because I'm not there on this particular issue. I've been clear as what my vote was going to be. I'm not there on this particular issue, so I don't know if there's ever been any talk about bargaining chips. I frankly doubt it, quite frankly, because people are going to make their decision one way or the other based upon whether this thing should be on the floor first, and if on the floor, how they're going to vote. So I don't really see this as an issue that can be used as a bargaining chip, and I don't think it is.
Just in closing here on this issue, and we're unfortunately out of time, Senator, if the bill comes to the floor, do you believe it will pass?
I don't know, because I know I'm going to vote no. I know other people are going to vote no. There are still people that are holding their cards close to their chest. It was kind of shocking to me anyway that Senators Alisi and McDonald came out a couple days before we discussed it in conference, and so that changed the dynamic somewhat, to put it mildly. But the rest of the people that you've been reporting and everyone else has been reporting that are undecided remain undecided and are not tipping their cards at this point in time.
Okay, well, Senator DeFrancisco, I really appreciate your time. Thanks very much for stopping by, and we will be talking with you soon.
Thank you.